Hi everybody, it's Charles Harper again, and in this basic video, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to basically show you how to add cursor effects. Now, the video that you're watching right now, you'll notice that every place where I move around the mouse, you're going to see that my mouse is highlighted. You're also going to hear a mouse click. I'm going to show you how to add that to your videos. Now keep in mind, I'm going to be doing a more extensive tutorial, but this is for those of you all who want to get started right away and you want to add effects where you can see the mouse clicking inside of your video. So to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to import a video here. And we're just going to import one of these videos that I did last year that we're not going to use because it's not rendered in the right size. Now, obviously, when you do this, you're going to pull this video down to the timeline. Okay, again, now this is a picture-in-picture video, so that's why that shows up. And of course, now I would want to be rendering this for. It was originally rendered in 1280 plus 1024. I'll talk about that in another video. Really, what you'd want to do is you'd want to make that for YouTube. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I want to just show you how you're going to add this to the timeline. And when you're editing your video in the project file, what you're going to be doing is you're going to adjust the volume. Now we're not going to do that in this video, but you would actually go to this more area, and then you would click cursor effects. And what you're going to notice right away is that you're going to have this dialog box here. And it's going to ask you to add a keyframe. Now I'm going to show you just how to do a really basic addition of cursor effects throughout your whole video. Now obviously there might be videos where you want to do this only in a section of the video or a specific part, but in this case I'm saying we're going to add in cursor effects throughout the entire video. So I'm going to do this literally at the very beginning. So in other words, notice where my cursor is. I'm going to make sure it goes back at the very beginning. Now if I do this and I click add a keyframe, then I do this at the beginning, it's going to appear throughout my entire video. Okay, so what I'm basically saying is put these cursor effects from beginning to end of my video. So now what are we going to do? Well, what we want to do is we're going to make our mouse cursor visible, and I've got that checked. And I could, if I want to, I could increase the cursor size, right? And you can see how big that's going to get. I like to leave that cursor exactly where it is. Now what I do here is when I do my cursor, I like to use a highlight, which is yellow, and so you're going to see that. Now that's how I add the yellow that you're watching in the video. But you could, if you wanted to, you could add a spotlight, right? Or you could just magnify it. Right, now personally, again, I like to use the highlight, so that's what you're watching in my videos. I do that in just about all of them. Now anytime that I left click, okay, like this, you're hearing a noise, and that's because what I do is I will add in a left click effect, and I always do rings. I mean, you could, if you want to, you could add in a warp effect, right? Or you could add in a ripple effect. Now obviously you can do the same thing for right click, so I like to do rings for left click. For right click, I like to do warp or ripple. Now in this case I'm going to go ahead and do a warp. Okay, so now I've got my highlighter, so you'll see that there. I'm now going to put in a sound effect for left clicking, and I will put in a mouse click for the left click, and I'll bring that back to medium, and then for the laptop click I will then bring that right there. And then basically now throughout my entire video, anytime I click any place, right, anytime I click any place, you're going to see these effects, and it's going to show up throughout my entire video because I've got it here at the beginning of the timeline. And that's pretty much how you're going to edit your video to add in the cursor effect. Now you're going to add in that cursor effect after you finish your video and when you open up your project file. Okay, so now what I'm going to do now obviously is I'm going to save this as a project file. And I'm just going to keep saving it over as to how to I call it how to transition, but we'll just say how to practice, because we're just going to keep using the same file and keep changing it. So I'm going to call this how to practice. And when you save this, Camtasia Studio is going to give you a message. They will offer you the opportunity to produce your project. I'm going to suggest that unless you are just only producing one video, that you don't produce it right away. I'm actually going to talk about the fact that I think you should be using a production machine, and we'll get into that later. If you need to just go ahead and produce your video, you can just click that link. Otherwise, just click that. And so then you've got your project saved. And now you can just go back and open it up. So for instance, now what we can do is I can then blank out Camtasia Studio, and when I'm ready then to produce this video, if I want to produce it by itself, all I'm going to do is go back here, go to recent projects or open project. I'm going to get that video, and it's going to bring everything back on the timeline exactly the way I saved it. Right, so it's got my cursor effects in there and anything else that I put in there. So that is how you add cursor effects to your video. Now, if you're going to do this, I would suggest that you put your cursor effects in before you put in your transitions, before you put in your title clips. This is the first thing you want to do. You want to go ahead and you want to put in your cursor effects. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video.